Hey guys, today's profile review, we are going to be reviewing a Silver 3 player who has a 59% win rate on their jacks in their last 40 games. Now this guy looks like he's only just got into League of Legends. So he's literally only played 100 games of ranked and he's already Silver 3 with a 59% win rate on his jacks. So we're going to dive more into why that is, how he's gotten so good, and what he can do to end up reaching his goal rank of getting to Platinum. Now, before we get into this profile review, if you're interested in getting your own profile review, please check out the link in the YouTube section, comment section below, as well as if you're interested in the coaching solution I talked about towards the end of this session, please also check out the YouTube description below where I've got a link for that. Let's get into the video. So currently you are Silver 3 and your goal is to get to Platinum. And it looks like it's your first season playing the game. So firstly, like, congratulations, dude. To get to Silver 3 in your arguably first season playing, I mean, you don't have a rank from last season. So I'm assuming if this is your first 100 games, you've done a really good job. To get already into the top 60% of players is absolutely incredible in your first 100 games. So firstly, you should be really happy with that. And the biggest problem holding you back, I noticed you talked about, it's because you haven't played enough games. And to be honest, that's not the worst problem to have. Like, I mean, you're a new player, right? So it's expected that you're not going to have played many games, but honestly, the games you have played have probably been super valuable. And I can already see that even though over the last 100 games you only had a 50% win rate, over your last 80, you've got about a 54% win rate, which makes me think you're naturally getting better and better and improving, which is really, really important. Sometimes I see players with a low overall win rate and a low win rate in their recent games as well, which is generally an issue that they're either playing the wrong champions, they're playing the wrong role, or they just don't know how to improve beyond the current point they're at. So the good news is you're still doing really well, which is a really, really good sign, and you're probably learning a lot every game. And so we want to continue to keep that going. So the big two things I'm going to talk about to you is mainly your champion pool and then your mid to late game. Because honestly, when I'm looking at your CS per minute, like, this is okay. For Silver 3, 5.6 CS per minute isn't too bad. I can even see here, you know, you're averaging 6.8, 5.8, 6.2. These are pretty good CS numbers for Silver 2 top laners as well. So I'm actually quite happy with a lot of your stats, like your CS, your goal difference at 15 is pretty good. Anything above really up plus 100, particularly as a new player, is really promising. And to be honest, your deaths are quite low. Generally, I recommend players to be averaging about 5.5 to 6 deaths per game. The fact that you're under that at around 5.1, and I can see here you're actually at 4.9 in your last 80, which is really good. The one problem I see that with is that, you know, because your kill participation is this low, I'm thinking maybe you're not what I call a KDA warrior, but you might be a little bit risk adverse, and that could be holding you back a little, but it's also probably leading to a lot of your victories, because when you play a bit more conservative and calculated, generally you're going to win more games because you're allowed to think, you don't make risky choices, and you generally make the better move or action that leads to more wins in the game. So the first thing I want to talk about, Diego, is your champion pool. Now I can see recently you've been playing a lot of Jax, but I can also see that sometimes you switch up to Rumble. Now what I would recommend, if your goal is seriously to climb to Platinum from Silver 3, you need to choose a role, because right now you're playing Jax and Rumble, you know, Jax in the top lane, Rumble in the mid lane, and they're very different lanes and they're very different champions. So if your goal wasn't to get to Platinum and instead your goal was to learn new champions, I would say that's good. Like, learn as many champions as you want and just take your time with it and enjoy. However, if you're trying to learn and climb at the same time, they're generally quite hard to do together, particularly when you're learning very different champions and very different roles. Usually when we're trying to learn and climb at the same time, we focus it on one role and a small pool of champions, whether that's 1 champion, 2 champions, or maximum 3 champions, so that we can actually direct our learning and make sure it's really focused and it's just concentrating on 1 champion or 2 champions and 1 role at a time. Because if we try and learn too many things at once, we're just going to get confused. And it's like trying to learn multiple languages at once. You're going to mix words up, you're going to mix plays up, your kits. It just generally isn't the best way to climb. So if your goal is to climb really quickly and try and get into platinum, I would suggest you got to pick a role. Now, to be honest, I think Jax probably has your most potential. I think your top lane is probably your best role. It seems like you're doing quite well in that. I can see you have a 59% win rate on your Jax in your last 29 games, which is generally a really good sign that you're doing quite well on them. So I would like for you to continue playing that Jax, and, you know, maybe only playing Rumble mid when you actually get filled into mid lane. Because, you know, 40 games and then, you know, 40 games here, it's just a bit too much variation. And again, if our goal is to climb, we can't have that kind of variation because it just stunts our learning and our ability to improve at a faster rate. Now, let's say you did actually want to learn top lane and mid lane at the same time. What I would instead recommend you do is have two accounts. So you have one account for playing ranked with your top lane, and you have one account playing ranked on your mid lane. And you basically see which one can climb higher, and then you go, okay, I'm going to only play this role now on my main, and I'm going to use my second account for learning, playing this new role that I like but I'm not as good at, or testing new champions and testing new builds. And so then you really split your gameplay between one account where you're trying to get to platinum, and your second account where you're trying to increase your champion pool, you're trying to play new roles, you're playing with friends, and you're having fun. Because that way we keep our MMR separate, which means we're not going to ruin our main account's chances of getting to platinum by playing champions that we have bad win rates on. Because when we play champions with bad win rates, the league system thinks, oh shit, this player doesn't deserve to be in this rank because they can't win on their champions. They've got a negative win rate or something below 50%. So the Riot system automatically thinks, oh, okay, we need to stop giving this person so much LP for wins and give them more for losses until they get to back to their skill level where they can actually start winning games again. Because that's what the League of Legends system is trying to do. It's trying to find your true rank on the champions you're playing. So if it sees you with a Jax at 43% win rate, it's going to go, okay, Silver 3 is too hard for this guy, so we're going to make it really hard for him to climb any more above Silver 3 until he gets that win rate back up to around 55%. And in a really simple concept and terms, that's kind of how the league matchmaking system works. However, it does get a bit more complex and does change, but that's really all you need to know in terms of your profile view. Now, why I think you need to focus on your late game is because I can see that you've actually got a pretty good early game. You know, you're up 170 gold at 15 minutes. Your deaths aren't too high. Your CS per minute isn't too bad, but your win rate is only, 50% over your last 100 games. So there must be something going wrong where you're struggling to end games. So the easiest way to think about grouping and ending in League of Legends is generally the team that groups earlier is the team that wins. And now I know Jack's gameplay is very much about split pushing, but you should also start to try and incorporate yourself grouping, particularly during key moments like Baron fights, taking inhibitors as a team, or dragons, because top laners, when they do come into fights, they can have massive impacts on the game because typically the enemy top laner won't join the fight. And because Jax is such a good split pusher anyway, you can afford to join a fight and then go and defend the lane that your enemy top lane is splitting. So you can end up doing both things where you're achieving your split push goal, but you're also able to help your team secure objectives and get closer to winning the game. Because rarely, and obviously with your Jax gameplay, you will have quite a few wins where you do get to just split push and you get to win the game through split pushing by applying a lot of pressure, by getting a lot of the enemy to come top lane while you're split pushing and your ally team take other areas of the map while they're all focused on you. But you should also learn the other type of playstyle, which is grouping a bit more, particularly around objectives. Now, Diego, I honestly think the biggest keys for you to climbing are splitting up your games between those two accounts, focusing on top lane, really focusing on your mid to late game as a Jax, and I think you honestly can climb quite far. The fact that you're already 100 games in and you're already Silver 3 is a really good sign that you have a lot of natural skill. Now, because you are interested in paid coaching, I know exactly how to accelerate your learning. So if you're looking for a way for you to climb faster, learn faster, and play the way you want to play League of Legends, please, once you've watched this, reach out to me and we can book a one-on-one call where I can basically talk you through exactly what a ranked climbing plan would look like for you on how we can get you from Silver 3 to Gold 4, eventually to your goal of Plat 4, playing the way you want to play, playing the champions you want to play, and improving your gameplay every step of the way. So, I hope you've enjoyed this profile review, Diego. Once you've watched it, please reach out to me. And as always, cheers and good luck on the Rift.